Hi all, it's Linda again, and I'm back with the second video for the new things coming in mid-August this year. Again, your retailers have all the details, so you can even pre-order if you like, but contact them for all the goodness that comes along with these. I've already done the video about the little reproduction samplers, so now I'm going to jump into some things for the fall and a little bit of the Christmas holidays coming. That sounds crazy since it's hot as blazes in August right now, but nonetheless, that's the way the calendar works. First of all, I have a sweet little couple of pieces here for the fall, and this one is called Autumn Musings. And I've started, it's another one of my buttoned up sets, which is a berry and little pin pillow. And Autumn Musings because I've included the word harvest, grateful, and blessings in this primary piece. It's got a stylized pumpkin, lots of little motifs for the fall, and 3 little squirrels scampering up the side of that piece. And the berry kind of hints at the same type of pumpkins. Pretty stylized, bright, pretty fall colors. It says harvest. Just, I feel like designing for the autumn, I don't know, it's kind of a designer's dream. The colors are always amazing. They're just a joy to work with. And this is certainly a great example of that. The top treatment here on the berry, you'll see it's a dark rusty wool, a more golden wool, leaves, and a bit of twill tape, and then just a few pins to give it some accent. All the details are in the chart pack for the exact wools that I used, how I put it together, etc., as usual. So these 2 little pieces are Autumn Musings, and as with all buttoned up designs, you get a little pack of little buttons, and there's a charm. And what that is there's the little brass heart right here on the pumpkin. It's a teeny tiny little flower button right up here. And then in those scampering squirrels, there's the little tiny heart. And so you'll get that button pack, 2 buttons and a charm with the pattern for both the berry and the pin pillow in Autumn Musings. Next up is a piece that I did for a class last fall. And so a handful of you will already have this, but most of you will not. This is called the Mighty Oak. And what I did is I took a verse that I found about the oak tree, and I made it into a sewing roll or housewife. So I'll read the verse to you. The acorn does not know that it will become a sapling, and the sapling does not remember when it was an acorn, and only dimly senses that it will become a mighty oak. The oak recalls fondly when it was a sapling, loves being a mighty oak, and joyfully creates new acorns. So you stitched this all the way, and then you also stitch this large oak tree, which gets turned up to make a pocket for the inside of the sewing roll. So this is the Mighty Oak. There are some general guidelines for how I finished this, and they are general, and I say that because finishing something like this is very personal. There are so many ways to approach something like this. So I gave you the general guidelines of how I put this together. You can absolutely do it any way you like. You wouldn't even have to make this as a pocket at all. You could leave this one long straight stitched piece where the stitching shows all on one side and roll it up as a sewing roll or something like that. What I have included in the pattern, because I think this would also make a lovely, maybe framed sampler, right? But in order to do that, you need to flip the oak tree, because if you'll notice, at the base of the verse is also the base of the oak tree. So if you're going to stitch it so that you see everything, you need to turn this oak tree, flip it the other direction so that the top of the tree starts right here. And I have given you a layout and some details about how you can just tweak the chart just a wee bit. It's not very much at all, so that you can stitch it that way if you'd rather. The other option that I have given you on this is, if you're not into the longer pieces or you don't want to finish it as a sewing roll or something like that, finish it as a little set of bowl fillers. Because of the way the verse is structured, it's easy to split it up into the three sections. The one about the acorn not knowing that it's going to be a sapling someday, and then the sapling kind of just not sure. They're in the middle there, they're not sure what's going to happen exactly. And then finally, that the oak and how it joyfully creates new acorns. So there's some instructions about how you can tweak the charts just a little bit so that you can split it and make it into the three smalls. So that's this chart pack called the Mighty Oak. The primary design is the sewing roll or housewife, that can be altered as you like, as well as the individual smalls. Sweet verse. I love the sentiment on that. I hope you enjoy that as well. Then, when we're doing fall things, there's oftentimes, well, I should say, we can't forget Halloween, right? And I know not everybody stitches Halloween, but for those of you who do, you love your Halloween stitching. So this is a fun one that I've pulled together. I've got 3 models in this one. I'm calling it Witches Wander. Wander with an A. And I ran across this verse and just have had a lot of fun with this. This would be the primary kind of title piece. So it's a sampler format. In fact, the structure and layout of the sampler is actually based on a little small marking sampler that I have in my collection. Not too much, but the way that the alphabets are structured and with the dividing lines and that sort of thing. The verse says, "While the night is cold and chill, witches wander forth at will." So there's just fun, kind of funky witches, fun colors for Halloween, even the purples as well as the oranges, the black cats, and the brooms. The witches need to have their brooms, right? So a fun little sampler, quick stitch as well. It's really not that large. This is done on Melville linen from Needle and Flax. It's actually got a little bit of orange, kind of bluish color, but there are all kinds of fabrics that this would be a lot of fun for you to stitch on. So you can get supply lists from the website or from your retailer and kind of play around maybe with some fun fabric floss combinations. Also, with the witches, I call it, I think on the website I called it the essential fabric accessory, which is their broom. So this fun design, hang your broom and stay a spell, uses that same funny little black cat. Very simple. This is a real quick stitch that you could mount on a little This is just one of these little mounting boards that you can get at craft stores. You could put this on anything you like, make it into a pillow, just have some fun with it. Quick stitch, hang your broom. And then I kind of harkened back to the sampler, borrowed the same little witch and little cat, and a little small, I just couldn't resist this, Salem Broom Company. Same little witch, little cat. This is a little pin with a bat. Lots of fun embellishments. This one I stitched in just DMCs that are slightly a brighter tone than maybe the more samplery prim look of the other two pieces, and it's stitched on cream linen, so it's got more of a punch and more of a contrast if you like that brighter look for your Halloween pieces. So Salem Broom Company, Witch's Wander, and Hang Your Broom. All three designs are in the Witch's Wander chart pack. Lastly, let's look ahead to Christmas just a little bit. I have something I've been kind of pondering for a little bit, and I just finally jumped in and decided to tackle this. Not an overly creative title for this one. It's called Merry Christmas, and here's why. Very kind of samplery look in terms of alphabets, motifs, borders. Merry Christmas. But it's Merry Christmas in multiple languages. So I have Merry Christmas in English. I have, and I'm not going to try to pronounce these because I'm terrible at it. I don't know my language as well at all. In French. In Spanish. In Italian. And in German. Now, I have to admit, my translations for Merry Christmas came from Google. So if there is a little bit of tweaking, depending on where you might be or how you want to express Merry Christmas, my apologies. But I did depend on Google. I did include an alphabet. So if you just need to switch out a letter or two, you could do that. The other thing that you might have noticed is that the one in French has a tree instead of the deer. And so you could certainly switch that out if you prefer, because the shape of the two shapes compared to each other, they're a little bit different. You might want to do a little bit of planning ahead, maybe on some graph paper to adjust and make sure it fits like you like. But you do have that option, certainly. Otherwise, they all have this pretty border at the bottom, and then the smaller border band all the way around. I'm thinking maybe you've been able to travel a lot of places around the world, and maybe you would like to make these represent places that you have visited and include them in your holiday decor. They're, for me, a little large for ornaments. These are stitched on 36 count linen over 2 threads. So for my personal taste and my tree, they're a little large for ornaments. But if you like to stitch over 1 or on a really high count linen, they would make wonderful little ornaments or tags. Lots of options that way. So again, the chart pack itself is called Merry Christmas, but it's Merry Christmas in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. I'm actually considering a few others that I would release in the same format next year in some additional languages. So if I'm missing something that you think is important for me to include, please let me know via the comments or the email contact page on my website. So that's a little taste of holiday stitching that you can look forward to, as you know it will be here before we know it, right? So that's what I have, releasing in mid-August. Check with your favorite retailer. They're going to have all the information, and I will post on the website probably, again, by mid-August, all the details. So if you need to access a supply list or something like that, then you'll have that then. I'm looking at my calendar right now. I'm thinking that's probably going to be perhaps maybe 8th or 9th of August. So if you're real anxious to get a supply list, you can look for it then if you're not able to get it from your retailer. Thank you again for everybody for enjoying all these things that I do. I'm always grateful that I get to do what I do, and I really appreciate everybody. Thanks, and bye-bye.